So one of the issues that we've discussed earlier in the show is on the licensing of naturopathic doctor. And for you as a consumer, that becomes very important. If you want to choose to go to somebody that is more holistically minded and support your body using the natural means, you want to be able to have that choice instead of being forced to use your insurance benefits to go then to just a medical doctor. Not saying that a medical doctor is something bad in any way, but it's always good to have a choice. And we live in America, so competition is always something that brought forth then better alternatives and better solutions. So any kind of monopoly, even if it's medical, it then becomes actually something that limits your ability to achieve what it is that you like to achieve. Within the naturopathic profession, we have two groups in essence. We have then a group that is graduating then from amazing universities, but these universities, they are established very recently. Then we have another group of docs. Here in Idaho, we have probably the majority of these docs. They are docs that have been around for ages. Some of them I know personally are 3-generational naturopathic doctors. So their grandfather was a naturopathic doctor, father was a naturopathic doctor, and they are currently a naturopathic doctor. And they've been working as a naturopathic doctor for 20, 30 years before these universities existed. It's kind of like in the early 1900s when the medical profession was trying to gain legitimacy, and they were trying to figure out who should we license at that time. At that time, they were then, there's a lot of medical universities that were then being established, but you've had all these family docs that have been, they go from house to house, and they help people when they break their bone or they do surgery, and they've been around forever, and they know how to fix you, and they have that common sense, medical common sense, and a lot of them were actually the ones that taught then at these universities that were established, but they themselves had not gone to the university because they were before that time. And we have the same here with the naturopathic profession. We have these naturopaths that existed forever, and they existed before this university ever came about. Me, for instance, I've been in clinical practice since 1987, which is way before these naturopathic universities existed. And we have, I have hundreds and thousands of clinical hours, obviously, because I've been doing this since '87. And I've been studying. I studied for 7 years with one of the leading naturopaths in Sweden. So I have all that clinical training, and in addition to all the book learning. So is somebody like me less than somebody that is then graduating from one of these universities? You know, universities, yes, you get a 4-year degree, but you get just a certain amount of clinical hours. So is that amount of clinical hours better than the tens of thousands, or in some cases hundreds of thousands, clinical hours that you would get doing what I've already done, or some of these other naturopaths have already done? So should only this group that go to these universities be licensed, or should we also include this other group? So that is something that I don't know the solution, but it's a question that I want to pose to you as a listener, because I know that this issue will come up several times before the legislative. So my thought, my feeling is that there should be some kind of grandfathering clause, just like we had back in the early 1900s for these medical docs that hadn't gone to the universities. You know, and you put a certain a reasonable amount of time that you should be in practice, like 10 years. And if you've been in practice for 10 years, you've learned quite a bit. And I think that you deserve then to have the opportunity to be licensed. So as these sessions come up, as these licensing laws comes up, then next session, I want you to become involved and voice your opinion as to what you feel, what is fair. And we count, I mean, like Senator Lakey was was communicating is that it's important that you're aware of what's going on during the legislative session and voice your opinion and communicate then with your representative for your area. So after this, we'll be right back.